welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really fascinating. It's this intersection of, artistic ambition, financial necessity, and building a truly massive legacy.
Yeah, we're synthesizing sources about a creative professional leading this kind of dual life.
Exactly. One foot is like firmly in the daily grind of film extra work,
The practical side.
and the other is charting this huge multi-decade project focused on Africa, film, property, the whole lot.
It's really an investigation into how these epic creative projects actually get built. I mean, not in some perfect studio environment, but dealing with the day-to-day realities of the film industry.
Right.
We're looking at how a vision that spans decades costs millions, how that gets balanced with, survival tactics.
And the strategy behind it is key, isn't it? Making sure the day job isn't just paying bills.
Precisely. It's an active part of the overall learning strategy.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The source material is super conversational, which is great. It gives us this unfiltered view of the nuts and bolts,
Yeah.
what it really takes.
Mm-hmm.
And it all starts right there on set, doing what the speaker calls essay work.
Essay work, yeah. Film extra work.
The reasoning for taking on this extra work is, well, it's multifaceted. It is a necessity, yes.
Sure, income batters.
He admits, not making a lot of money from the main creative work, but the real value, he says, is the opportunity to be on big, large sets all the time.
I get that, the tactical thinking, but
Yeah.
the commitment level, it's intense. He really views this as a practical film school.
Right.
He might know the whole production thing theoretically, but being there practically, that's how he learns how to make his own film when the time comes.
And you see that preparation laid out. The sources mention him actually bringing a specific film book onto the set.
Yeah, covering budget, film crew details. He explicitly calls the extra work mainly research.
It really reframes that kind of low-paying background work, doesn't it? Turns it into a masterclass in logistics.
Absolutely. But it doesn't make the actual mechanics of being an extra any less arduous.
I mean, no way. We hear about the practical grind, like needing a fitting tomorrow for a tuxedo job.
Right, and increasingly those fittings are digital now, the DigiFits.
Ah, yes.
Which, saves hours of travel, but the pay is minimal, like £20.
20 quid. Wow.
It says a lot about the sort of cost of entry, And he also mentioned something interesting about the costume, viewing it like a uniform provided by production.
Oh.
Yeah, like a reluctance to take off his own clothes or use his own tux for the fitting. It's like drawing a clear line between his personal self and this temporary role.
That makes sense. Keeping that separation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the constant admin hassle. He calls it a pain in the ass maintaining what he calls his current loop.
Yeah, the current loop. That's the endless admin process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uploading fresh photos, updated measurements, availability, every single week.
Every week.
Just to even be considered for a job. It's the engine driving that part of the industry, but it's relentless.
And even after all that effort,
Yeah.
rejection is common. You're constantly getting released
Yeah.
from bookings. Yeah, it's tough.
It's the very definition of a necessary grind, then. It provides income, yes, but also access and that practical education.
But it's that contrast, this daily churn measured in 20-pound payments and weekly photo uploads, set against an ambition measured in decades and millions.
Okay, so here's where we really shift gears. From those daily survival tactics to the huge long-term focus.
The main mission.
Yeah, the very, very intense project. He's a writer, producer, creative, working on something just staggering in scope.
The scope is generational. We're told this story starts in the 1880s. Think about the cusp of modern Africa, the colonial footprint beginning.
Right.
And it's set to go all the way into AI.
That timeline alone is breathtaking.
It really is. It makes you ask, how does a narrative rooted in, 19th century history translate its meaning into a world defined by algorithms?
That jump deep history to radical future that feels like the core of the vision. But it's not just the script, is it?
No, not at all. It links the artistic narrative directly to tangible legacy, what he calls generational wealth, but defined in an original, authentic African context.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is where it moves beyond just being a film. It becomes an institution.
How so?
The story is tied to actual property development in Nigeria. We learn about a house he built with his father back in 1970.
Like,
That's now been demolished to make way for a big institute, and this institute is going to cost millions of pounds.
wow. So the property development itself, which apparently goes back to his grandfather, great-grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
is described literally as the edifice that is part of the story.
Precisely. It's not just selling a screenplay, it's building a physical landmark that embodies the narrative's historical root.
So using actual historical family wealth.
And converting it into intellectual and cultural wealth.
Yeah.
And his own commentary on this, it's pretty forceful. It shows the scale he's aiming for.
Yeah, he contrasts it strongly with other big global narratives.
Emphasizing its unique cultural purpose.
It's a really powerful comparison he makes. He clearly sees this project as having this, like, moral or historical weight that's rare. He describes it as even deeper than Gandhi's story. And, well, the source uses the direct quote, "not some white nonsense."
Right. And we need to be clear, that's the language from the source material. It reflects the incredibly high stakes and the specific cultural drive behind this whole thing.
Absolutely. It underlines the ambition.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that kind of scale means it has to succeed globally, not just locally, right?
Which brings us to his view on the current African film industry, specifically the challenges for Nigerian cinema, Nollywood, in getting that global reach.
Yeah, he has a critical view, but it seems strategic. He describes Nigerian movies often as very niche.
Watched in living rooms, maybe people talk and shout over them, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So the challenge isn't just production quality, it's distribution, reception, how these films travel.
And that frames the core problem he's trying to solve. He aims to write something quite different, something that can actually compete on the global market.
Because, as he notes, most African films just do not travel in other territories much. He's not aiming for niche success here.
No, he wants mainstream international recognition, something worthy of this huge multi-generational investment.
And he points to history, doesn't he? A time when there was a different kind of support.
Yeah, the 1970s, French directors finding success because the French ministry used film as a diplomatic instrument.
Right, providing cultural backing that helped those films travel. But that kind of state-sponsored structure, he notes, it's gone now.
So the landscape is different.
But the opportunity today is digital, maybe. The Nigerian market itself is massive. Platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, they're very big there. And what's really interesting is how people watch, mostly via phone subscription for Netflix in Nigeria.
On their phones, that's fascinating.
It tells you accessibility is everything. And the distribution model is totally different from the old theatrical path.
And for that global reach, he's clearly looking beyond just the West. There's mention of trying to sell a project to China.
Yeah, something related to China and Africa and luxury.
Targeting the Chinese market specifically.
It's a huge strategic pivot, but you can see why. You're talking about 1 billion potential viewers.
Right. If your goal is global competition and funding a multi-million-pound project,
you have to go where the capital and the audience are. But the source material also flags the challenges there.
Oh, yeah.
Commentary about Chinese business practices, accusations of stealing American patterns, not paying for intellectual property, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it highlights the really difficult calculations involved in this global ambition. Navigating censorship, distribution hurdles, IP risks.
All to fund this vision of cultural legacy.
Yeah.
It reinforces the idea that maybe the traditional path film festival's Western distribution might just not be enough for something this monumental.
And that leads perfectly into where African stories are finding massive audiences right now. Maybe not through traditional film structures.
Through the digital sphere, yeah.
Which explains why he's closely watching this new wave of content creators. It's a totally different route to huge audiences.
Bypassing those old gatekeepers, festivals, funders.
It's the grassroots model versus the capital-intensive institutional one.
Exactly. And he details specific success stories. There's Hajj TV, a young creator, Guinea-Bissau originally, now in LA.
Okay.
Streaming content, telling LA stories, but weaving in African motives. Really successful.
Interesting blend. And others.
Yeah, I am Marua, Kenyan guy. Started blogging after teaching English in Colombia, apparently. Became a huge hit.
Wow.
And he's in direct competition with Woody Maya, a Ghanaian creator who actually started out in China.
So they're really global from the start.
Often, yeah. And these channels, they frequently started super small, like literally going out with a friend and filming.
Humble beginnings.
But achieving incredible reach, subscription numbers that, major studios would envy.
The numbers are wild. Like Tayo, a big Nigerian creator.
Yeah.
1.22 million subscribers.
And the sources stress the diversity, too. It's not just one type of content. You've got skeet makers like Brother Shaggy,
Okay.
a Cameroonian guy, black in China. even Russian creators blogging in Nigeria.
That's incredible. A whole ecosystem.
It's such a powerful contrast, isn't it? On one hand, this decades-long, multi-million-pound institutional effort,
Building the physical and narrative legacy.
hoping to compete in traditional global markets, and on the other hand, these creators building huge global audiences directly from their phones.
Leveraging subscription numbers over theatrical runs.
Yeah, different paths to influence.
So this deep dive, it's really shown us that core tension, hasn't it, of a high ambition creative life.
Definitely.
You've got the immediate practical work, necessary for income, for experience. The 20-pound digifits, the pain of the weekly current loop.
That's the survival gear. You need it.
And then contrasted right against that, you have the slow, massive, incredibly high cost investment in a generational African legacy project.
The millions of pounds for the Institute in Nigeria. It just emphasizes that for truly serious, culturally meaningful work that aims to build an institution, the timeline often stretches across decades.
And demands real sacrifice in the present. For me, the most compelling thing is still that timeline of the main vision, spanning from the 1880s. The very foundation of modern Africa.
All the way into the age of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, what does that actually mean? For a project about defining generational wealth, about cultural legacy, to link the foundations laid by your great-grandfather with AI.
It's a profound question. Linking that deep history with the technology that's radically redefining, well, everything. Narrative, distribution, maybe even identity itself. It raises this crucial question, really, for any ambitious creative today, but especially those focused on legacy narratives. How do you ensure that African stories, focused on authenticity and defining their own legacy, how do they maintain control and define their relationship with these new technologies, like AI?
Instead of just having the terms dictated from
Yeah,
outside.
like how do you own that narrative future? That feels like the challenge that's going to define the next century of storytelling.